That's absolutely correct. And you hit home a very good point, too, in regards to intensity. Low intensity aerobic exercise, which I define as anything to keep your heart rate under 120 beats per minute, like going for a walk,
Yeah, brisk walking.
that doesn't have any of the detrimental effects of aerobic work. So I don't want you to get to it and think, oh my gosh, I can't walk my dog. I'm going to have this negative hormonal effect. No, more that middle range. You don't want your dog getting fat too, right? So it's more that middle range that's dangerous. Very, very high intensity exercise. So maximal intensity sprints for 5 to 60 seconds. It creates a hormonal cascade where you're increasing growth hormone, you're increasing testosterone, and you're decreasing cortisol, and it all happens naturally in the body. So, a lot of bodybuilders take those drugs with injections. Well, you can get that injection every time if you work out properly, doing it naturally, if that makes sense.
Well, let's dig into that. Let's dig into that. So we know that, the jogging, that medium intensity, like one of the things that drives me crazy, Ryan, is these people who do boot camp workouts and they call it a high intensity class, but they're moving for 60 minutes. But you cannot move at a high intensity for 60 minutes. It is not possible. Right?
Not even close. So what a lot of people mistakenly use the word intensity for is how hard it was.
Yeah, how much they sweat.
If it's really hard, it was high intensity. But true intensity refers to a percentage of your best effort. And so when I work with athletes, I always prescribe to work at a set intensity. So in the weight room, I gave them intensities as a percentage of their one repetition maximum. On the track or if we were sprinting on the field, I would give them their workouts as a percentage of intensity of their best efforts.
Right.
So, for example, if someone could run a 40-yard dash in 4.4 seconds and I wanted them at, 100% intensity, each rep had to be in 4.4 seconds, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So intensity is truly a measure of the limits of the body's ability. Now, what's interesting is oftentimes high-intensity work is easier than the high-intensity lower intensity work, if that makes sense. So sprinting 100 meters as fast as you can is hard, but it's not nearly as hard as running 800 meters as fast as you can. Sure. But 100 meters is still a very good fat loss tool, in terms of stripping fat off, getting lean, getting powerful.
Yeah. So let's expand on that further because we're talking about exercise. What kind of exercise is the best for reshaping your body, looking better naked, improving your performance? What do you think?
Well, it's multifaceted, actually. First of all, I think hard resistance training using compound lifts. When I say compound lifts, I'm talking about more than one joint. Like, you're not going to get really lean or shredded doing wrist curls, if that makes sense. You need to do squats.
What about calf raises?
Occasionally. I always joke sometimes. I'll go to the gym, people say, what body part are you training? I'll say, eyebrows and toes. The body doesn't need to be endlessly isolated into its exact body parts, at least not for most people. You can get a very good body by doing squats, deadlifts, chin-ups, glute bridges, lunges, things that call a lot of muscle into play. So I think the first step in the program is a properly designed resistance training program. After that, I think sprints are second to none for developing an awesome body. And you want to make sure that they're programmed properly to ensure good quality movement and good recovery. So a lot of times what I see, people will program what they consider to be sprints, and it really ends up being just a little bit higher intensity aerobic work. You know what I mean? So, and to give you an example, here's an example of what I mean. 400 meters is an awesome distance to sprint for fat loss, okay? But what people will do is they'll make a workout 12 reps times 400 meters with only 30 seconds rest. What ends up happening is that because of the short rest intervals and because of the high number of reps, you can't possibly run at your best intensity. What I'm talking about that would be probably one of the most brutal workouts you could ever do would be 3 by 400 meters with 10 minutes rest between sets, but each repetition done in 52 seconds, if that makes sense. So in that regard, yes, it's less overall work, but the amount of output that you perform in that period of time will boost your metabolism absolutely through the roof. You'll need every bit of that 10 minutes to catch your breath back and be ready to run again.
Absolutely. It's exercise less, but with more quality and more intensity, right?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. And I think that's so important that people don't understand. They just try to do more and more and more, and it ends up being what I call junk volume. So it's just it's a lot of just really crappy efforts as opposed to a couple very, very high intensity efforts.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I completely agree with everything. That's fantastic. So let's go on to another myth. We got jogging, we got fats. What else can we talk about, Ryan?
Another myth,
Yeah.
here's a good one, is exercise-induced spot reduction.
That's a good one.
All right, so you see these infomercials out there today. You know, they have this gadget, this belt that you can put on your abs, and it'll electrically stimulate your abs while you do crunches, and it'll melt the fat off your midsection. You know what? The marketing in those commercials is phenomenal. So good that sometimes I'm watching, I'm like, man, I need to get me one of those. But even though I know it's complete crap. So basically, exercising a certain area of your body does not burn fat in that given area of your body. Okay? Fat burning is a local process that happens systemically. Now, you can influence spot reduction based on your hormones, okay, and based on nutritionally what you do, but not from exercise. So, for example, a lot of people have issues with their love handles, okay? So they think that doing side bends or side crunches is going to strip the fat from their love handles, which it won't. All it will do is develop the muscles underneath their fat, okay? To truly strip fat from the love handles, okay, and research has confirmed this, love handle fat storage or suprailiac fat storage in the scientific literature is directly a result of poor insulin management. So people that are eating low fat, high carb all the time, they have these huge insulin and blood sugar spikes, will tend to have a greater amount of storage around the love handle area. What that means is if they get on a nutrition plan where they get that hormone insulin under control, the suprailiac skin fold site will start to go down. Okay, so but the idea that you can lose fat by exercising a certain area is a huge myth.
I like that one. That's a good one. Okay, why don't we cover just a couple more areas on that spot reduction too? Because that's interesting to me, all those hormones. So what about the big buns and thighs and the belly fat? Let's take those separately.
Thighs and belly fat. I'm glad you asked. Well, big buns and thighs tend to be a reflection of poor estrogen in the body, estrogen management. And when I say estrogen, there's different types. There's estrogen that your body makes, which happens in males and females. And within those estrogens, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So there's estrogens that you need, and then there's estrogens that are harmful. Also, you have what are called xenoestrogens, which are basically pollutants. So when I say xenoestrogens, think toxins. Again, you got your water bottle.
Sorry, I'm chugging from a plastic bottle. I'm trying to make a joke there.
All right. Now, xenoestrogens come in the form of pesticides on your food, phthalates in plastics, parabens in your cosmetics. So women don't realize it, but if you actually take a look at your shampoos, your lotions, your perfume, makeup, if you see anything that says paraben on it, and it may be methylparaben, propylparaben, you're basically asking your body to store fat on your legs. So what happens is when a toxin enters your bloodstream, your body goes, oh, we don't want this in here. We gotta protect the cells. So it creates a fat bubble around the toxin and traps it. And that fat bubble tends to go to the butt and thighs. Okay, so if you see a lot of people they may be very lean in the midsection, but they've got a huge fat storage around their hips and legs, they tend to be very, very toxic. Okay, so the fat is a way that your body protects the rest of your cells from damage from that toxin. But it doesn't look good, right? I mean, you should be thankful that your body's protecting you, but no one wants to have a big butt and legs, right? So one of the first things that I recommend for people that have lower extremity fat storage, there's a great website called ewg.org. And on EWG, there's a cosmetics database. And you can look up a wide range of cosmetics. You can look up by brand. You can look up by toxicity. And it will rate them based on the level of toxins. It'll tell you exactly which chemicals are harmful, whether it's a neurotoxic or a different kind of toxin. And so it's kind of a good exercise to do, to go through, take all your cosmetics out one day, shake them out on the ground. And this goes for men too. Okay, men are not off the hook because men probably use deodorants, body washes, shampoos, shaving creams. Okay, so it's not just women that I'm talking about. And it also applies to dish soap, laundry detergent, etc. Anything that's going to come in contact with your skin. But go on ewg.org, click on the cosmetics database. It's a nonprofit site. It's unbiased research. And check out your cosmetics. It'll scale it on a score from 0 to 10. And I would recommend exchanging all your products for anything with a scale of 5 or less. You'd be surprised, a lot of name brands are sitting right at 10, meaning they're very, very toxic.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I've done that with all my stuff in the house. I got nothing but hippie stuff around here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So get rid of the toxins, and what else can they do on that to fix that?
Yeah, there's some compounds. A lot of people, there's compounds in vegetables like broccoli. There's compounds in green tea that can help speed up the detoxification process. Also, anything that takes care of your liver. So things like cranberry juice, not from concentrate, is good for your liver. Alpha lipoic acid is a good supplement to take for your liver. Milk thistle, things like that. One trick that I do is I like to have people cram as much veggies as possible. So I like to do the blender super shake where I take a blender with water, and what I do every time I go to the store, I buy a big box of organic spinach and I put it in the freezer, and it makes little spinach ice cubes, if you will. And so I just blend up a frozen spinach shake. I actually have one right here.
Oh, there you go.
It's just frozen spinach in water and or cranberry juice. And what ends up happening is you can get like sometimes around 10 to 15 servings of vegetables in that one shake. And that's going to help with your detoxification as well. Because it also has a lot of fiber, and fiber is good for clearing those toxins.
Do you buy frozen spinach or do you buy regular spinach and then freeze it?
Buy regular spinach and I put it in the freezer. It makes it
good.
Like an ice chip.
Yeah, see, I was going through tons of spinach and kale because I wasn't using all of it. I need to put it in the freezer. I never thought about that.
And you can do it with kale too. Spinach is just one example. But I always get a lot of leafy frozen veggies, or a lot of leafy fresh veggies, and I put them in a freezer bag in the freezer, and they come out as a nice chip, and then it blends really easily.
Boom, that's a brilliant tip. Okay, let's talk about one more. How about the dreaded belly fat?
Oh, the belly fat. This is for probably most everyone. Yeah. Belly fat is a reflection of the hormone cortisol in the body. Cortisol can be your friend at times. So it's your friend in the morning
wakes you up.
when you wake up, because it does. It wakes you up. It gives you energy. It's also your friend during fight or flight situations. So if you need a quick burst of energy, you want to have high cortisol levels. But then the rest of the day, you want it to be low. Okay, the problem is a lot of people keep their cortisol high throughout the day. First step to getting your cortisol under control is to first manage your insulin, all right? So the best way to explain it, insulin and cortisol work in opposition to one another in the body. So let's do the typical American diet. You wake up in the morning, you have your coffee, and cortisol goes high, which is fine. You decide to skip breakfast because you don't have time, and then 2 hours later you find that you're really craving something sweet. So you reach for a bagel or a donut or whatnot, because that's what's going to bring cortisol down. Your body's smart. Your body knows that cortisol is high and it needs to come down. So you eat that bagel, and what happens is your blood sugar elevates, your insulin goes up really high, which is it's fine because it brings down the cortisol. But then after an hour or two, what happens? Your body goes, oh my gosh, insulin is high. We need to bring it back down. So it jacks up cortisol, and the two hormones kind of seesaw on top of one another for the rest of the day, until by the end of the day, you've just been pumping insulin and cortisol the entire day. So you get the combo love handle and belly fat. So the best way to manage your cortisol is insulin. Keep your blood sugar stable, okay? So avoid a lot of processed carbohydrates. You want to have a lot of vegetables, a lot of fiber, things like nuts, good quality proteins, healthy fats. Next with cortisol is looking at food intolerances.